kita lawan, kita jaga, kita bersiap siaga, putuskan rantai.
Government to issue list of certified meat importers and brands. Police cripple illegal medicine syndicate. Welcome to Saluran Berita RTM. You're with me, Renee Fong, on News at 10. The government will list out the names of meat importers and brands certified halal by the Department of Islamic Development, JAKIM, soon. This is to ensure that the people, especially Muslims in the country, would be able to distinguish the difference and buy halal imported meat that adhere to Islamic rules without any doubt. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Religious Affairs, Datuk Dr. Zulkifli Muhammad Al-Bakri, stressed that he and JAKIM officials will conduct inspections at meat importers' premises to monitor the situation.
Tapi saya juga difahamkan berkenaan dengan lesen-lesen tersebut juga terkait dengan kementerian-kementerian lain. Justru kami akan mengadakan kerjasama lebih erat lagi. Dan saya sendiri insya-Allah akan cuba mengambil kecaknaan serta akan meninjau sebarang bentuk permasalahan yang ada kena-mengena dengan halal JAKIM, di mana kelemahan-kelemahan kalau ada untuk kita kemaskinikan. Dan hal ni kita akan terus berkolaborasi dan kita tengok sejauh mana tugasan atau bidang kuasa yang diberikan kepada kita.
Pulau Pinang Police on Thursday crippled a syndicate processing unregistered medicines after arresting two brothers and a married couple and seizing various types of medicines worth 14 million ringgit in two raids. The raids were conducted in Bukit Mertajam and Butterworth jointly by the Narcotics Criminal Investigation Department, the State Health Department and the Pulau Pinang Malaysian Chemistry Department. In a media conference today, the State Police Chief Datuk Sahabuddin Abdul Manan said the raids were conducted on a factory at the Machang Indah Industrial Park, Bukit Mertajam, and a shop in Taman Kencana, Butterworth. He said both premises were found to be processing unregistered pills and medicines, which was an offence under the Drug and Cosmetic Control Regulations 1984.
Dalam operasi ini, kes diserah kepada JKN untuk tindakan lanjut. Pihak JKN Pulau Pinang telah merampas beberapa bahan, ubatan dan peralatan memproses yang bernilai 14 juta ringgit.
Datuk Shahabuddin said the police arrested 4 locals, including the owner of the premise, the owner's sibling, and a married couple aged between 44 and 50. He said investigation found that the syndicate had been carrying out unregistered drug processing activities at the factory and shop since early this year. The case is being investigated in accordance with Regulation 7, subsection 1, subsection A, and Regulation 30, subsection 1 of the Drug and Cosmetic Control Regulations 1984 and Section 12, subsection 1 of the Sales of Drugs Act 1952. The Conditional Movement Control Order (CMCO) for all districts in Selangor, Kuala Lumpur and Sabah will be extended until 14th January next year. Senior Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the decision was made due to the high number of active cases in the affected areas and the emergence of new clusters in Kuala Lumpur.
Hari ini KKM memaklumkan situasi semasa pergerakan kes di Selangor bagi tempoh 14 hari dari 14 Disember sehingga 27 Disember 2020 secara kumulatif sehingga 27 Disember 2020 sebanyak 29,272 kes positif direkodkan di negeri Selangor. Bagi tempoh 14 hari ini, Selangor merekodkan sebanyak 8,194 kes COVID positif baru dan kesemua 9 daerah di Selangor telah menjadi zon merah.
The CMCO in these 3 states had been scheduled to end on 31st December. The senior minister said the extension of CMCO would also affect several localities in other states, namely Southwest Mukim 12 and Northeast Mukim 13 in Pulau Pinang, Seremban in Negeri Sembilan, and Johor Bahru and Batu Pahat in Johor. Meanwhile, the CMCO at Ipoh and Cemor in the Hulu Kinta sub-district in Perak will end today ahead of schedule. 1,594 new cases of COVID-19 were registered today, with Selangor continues to record the highest daily new infections with 697 cases, followed by Kuala Lumpur, 194 cases, and Johor, 191 cases. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said with this, the country now has a cumulative total of 106,690 cases. Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said 1,181 patients had recovered and discharged today, bringing the total number of recovery in the country to 85,592 individuals. He added that as of noon today, there are 20,643 active cases in the country. From the number, 116 patients are receiving treatment in the ICU and 53 of them require ventilation support. The Health DG also announced 3 new deaths related to COVID-19 today, taking the country's death toll to 455. The challenges to eliminate the COVID-19 pandemic did not hamper efforts to empower the public sector, which is one of the government's main agenda to ensure efficient, transparent and people-friendly service system. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the responsibility of civil servants now is to make the new norm a culture so that public service will be effectively delivered to the target group while increasing their productivity. The Prime Minister said at the government level it is important that more initiatives be implemented to improve integrity and governance, such as through efforts to combat corruption to ensure efficiency and transparency of the administration.
Saya turut menyeru agar PBT dan agensi yang berkaitan dapat turun ke lapangan dengan lebih kerap lagi untuk meninjau dan memahami keadaan semasa dan meneliti isu-isu berhubung warga kaki tangan mereka yang saban masa bertemu dengan orang ramai untuk menyelesaikan urusan seharian. Saya sedar dan juga prihatin terhadap kebajikan para penjawat awam, termasuklah barisan petugas hadapan yang turut menjadi sebahagian daripada anggota kaki tangan awam yang menggadaikan masa dan tenaga untuk melindungi kita sewaktu pandemik ini.
The Premier said this when virtually officiating the 27th Triennial General Meeting of the Amalgamated National Union Local Authorities Employees Annually at the Melaka International Trade Centre MITC in Aikro today. On this day, 57 years ago, Malaysia's first Prime Minister Tunku Abdul Rahman Putra Al-Haj launched a temporary studio located in Jalan Ampang, Kuala Lumpur, to be the first television service in the country. Since then, television has constantly been the main source of reference for the people. According to former RTM television host, who is also an academician, Professor Dr. Asia Sarji, the search of information from various forms of media could cause misinformation among the people. On the other hand, she said information disseminated through television have been filtered to ensure its validity.
Pelaksanaannya jauh lebih mudah daripada waktu dulu berbanding dengan pada waktu kini. sehingga munculnya kecelaruan maklumat yang luar biasa. Kecelaruan maklumat dalam konteks sama ada perkara atau ideologi yang diperkatakan itu benar atau salah dan sebagainya, yang menimbulkan kekeliruan di kalangan orang ramai untuk sama ada menerima atau menolak sesuatu maklumat.
Despite facing challenges with the emergence of new media, former RTM presenter and editor Datuk Harjit Singh Hallan said television still provide huge impact to our everyday lives.
Media massa khususnya televisyen mempunyai peranan yang amat penting dalam era globalisasi ini. Ia memiliki pengaruh yang amat kuat dalam kehidupan masyarakat masa kini. Peranan komunikasi amat penting untuk menentukan penyampaian informasi khususnya. Dengan kemajuan teknologi, kaedah ini juga berkembang dengan begitu pesat.
Meanwhile, Director General of Broadcasting Datuk Ruzain Idris said broadcast stations should take advantage of the social media platforms as it allows news content to be disseminated at a faster pace, adding that this could help attract bigger audience.
Dengan konteks penyaluran bahan, misalnya penggunaan media sosial ATM dapat menarik penonton, golongan penonton muda khususnya, untuk melihat paparan berita selanjutnya melalui TV. Apa yang kita siarkan dalam YouTube dan sebagainya itu sebenarnya adalah hasil daripada apa yang kita keluarkan dalam paparan di TV kita. Kandungan kita punya, cumanya kita aplikasikan dalam bentuk-bentuk yang seperti YouTube dan Twitter dan sebagainya.
Just like other sectors, the creative industry was hugely affected by the COVID-19 outbreak since early this year. With the movement control order enforced in March, activities were practically put to a halt for the most sectors, including films production and art performances. Local actors, entertainers and arts practitioners saw their livelihoods disrupted by the lockdown. Cinemas were ordered to shut down as the number of COVID-19 cases and deaths multiplied day by day. Online streaming sites such as the online cinema platform ewayang.com, which was launched during the MCO, became the alternative for audience to watch movies, and the streaming service since then has been expanding its movies library. 225 million ringgit allocated by the government to spur the growth of the creative industry through programs and soft loans under the Economic Recovery Plan Penjana was a breath of fresh air for arts practitioners and industry players. The initiative had provided a solid foundation for industry players to regenerate businesses that boosted their livelihood. On 1st July, the government announced that cinemas, theatre and live events were allowed to resume their operations by adhering to strict SOPs. However, after almost 4 months of operation, the permission was revoked when Malaysia hit by the third wave of COVID-19 outbreak. The situation had prompted the performing arts sector to explore online platform as their new channel to stage their play. Online platform had helped the sector to raise funds with the likes of Instant Cafe Theatre streaming productions of Parah and Nadira. Using the same format, a theatre presentation directed by Fauzia Nawi titled Rasa was also performed live through online platform.
Ini adalah salah satu cabang di mana kita akan dapat terus menjana pendapatan kita, dan ia akan membuka satu ruang lebih besar untuk kita pergi secara global. Dan ini caranya, bila kita dah ada orang kata semua yang IT ini semua, itu adalah paling mudah untuk kita tembus pasaran global.
Concerned with the ailing condition of arts and culture sector, the government has announced an allocation of 15 million ringgit for the sector in budget 2021. Meanwhile, the music industry suffered a total loss of 85.06 million ringgit since the COVID-19 started to spread in the country. The government's decision to implement the MCO has forced numerous music events, including music festivals, concert tours and award shows, to be cancelled or postponed due to the outbreak. Although the pandemic has disrupted the global music industry, musicians and professional entertainers alike managed to adapt to new norms by performing online via YouTube, Zoom, Facebook Live and the like. Orchestra RTM, led by RTM Music Director Datuk Mogzani Ismail, on 15th April performed the patriotic work Bahtera Merdeka, which was dedicated to Malaysian men and women on the front lines, and they are the first ones in the country to take on such impressive feat. The song was performed by 15 musicians led by a conductor who were all playing from their individual homes due to the MCO.
Mulanya agak janggal sedikit untuk bagaimana orkestra yang selalunya bertemu dengan masyarakat bekerja pada rumah. Bagaimana, tapi dalam suasana teknologi baru, akhirnya kita dapat work from home, iaitu gandingan orkestra RTM bersama artis-artis di luar sana, artis daripada Malaysia, daripada Singapura, kita ada Jad Ali, kita pun daripada sampai ke Indonesia, kita dapat bergabung. Nampaknya lagi banyak program yang kita dapat laksanakan.
An internationally renowned event producer and event management company, Shiraz Projects, was also forced to cancel as many as 25 concerts as a measure to safeguard the concert's participants and potential audiences due to the outbreak. The last time the company organized a full live concert was on 4th January this year.
Nak menyesuaikan diri dengan keadaan baru, terutamanya kita nak keluar daripada comfort zone kita memang susah, tapi memandangkan tidak ada option lain, kita terpaksa mencari peluang perniagaan lain. Kami telah merancang untuk kembali mengadakan konsert di bulan Januari. Memandangkan gelombang ketiga ini, saya rasa susah untuk kami meneruskan rancangan yang telah kami buat. Kita terpaksa melihat balik rancangan yang telah kami buat selama beberapa bulan akhir.
In our foreign segment, China jails citizen journalist for Wuhan reports. After delaying for nearly a week and under pressure from all sides, US President Donald Trump finally signed a massive $900 billion stimulus bill in a long-sought boost for millions of Americans and businesses battered by the COVID-19 pandemic. The package providing coronavirus emergency response and relief is part of a larger spending bill that, with Trump's signature, will avoid a government shutdown on Tuesday. The turnaround came after a day marked by calls from all sides of the political spectrum for action to avert an economic and social disaster, especially for America's vulnerable populations. The new stimulus package extends federal aid to the unemployed until mid-March and provides guaranteed loans and billions of dollars in aid to small businesses, restaurants, hotels, airlines, and other companies. It extends the moratorium on evictions of people unable to pay their rent, suspends foreclosures, and provides funds for the distribution of COVID-19 vaccines. The aid is essential to the world's largest economy, hit hard by restrictions put in place to halt the spread of COVID-19. A China court today handed a 4-year jail term to a citizen journalist who reported from the central city of Wuhan at the peak of last year's coronavirus outbreak on grounds of picking quarrels and provoking trouble. Zhang Zhan, 37, the first such person known to have been tried, was among a handful of people whose first-hand accounts from crowded hospitals and empty streets painted a more dire picture of the pandemic epicenter than the official narrative. In Shanghai, police enforced tight security outside of the court, where the trial opened 7 months after Zhang's detention. Although some supporters were undeterred, criticism of China's early handling of the crisis has been censored, and whistleblowers such as doctors warned. The virus has spread worldwide to infect more than 80 million people and kill over 1.76 million, paralyzing air travel as nations threw up barriers against it that have disrupted industries and livelihoods. The COVID-19 pandemic has thrown a massive spanner in the works for all levels of motor racing worldwide, and the country's motorsports segment is no exception. Since the enforcement of the nationwide Movement Control Order (MCO) in March, the Sepang International Circuit has been losing a hefty chunk of revenue, and its Chief Executive Officer Azhan Shafriman Hanif admits that it will take the motorsports arena quite some time before it can recover from the impact of COVID-19. In an exclusive interview with RTM, Azhan said SIC also has to face the risk of losing major championships such as Formula 1 and MotoGP, as well as the national and grassroots level racing competitions due to the pandemic.
It's been a difficult year. Memang tahun 2020 ni memang sangat mencabar. So bila kita dapat balik tengok sukan pemotoran ni buka balik, saya tengok air muka setiap pelumba, tim-tim semua. I think that was one of the priceless moment.
Hi, saya Azhan Shafriman Hanif, CEO of SIC. In life, you gotta follow your passion. But if nothing goes right, you go left.
Saya rasa seluruh dunia merasakan impact daripada pandemik COVID-19 ni. SIC juga agak terkesan dengan majority business sebab kita buat event kat sini, and then kita tak dapat penganjur luar datang daripada luar negara untuk kita buat event kat sini. We expect somewhere around 50% punya impact in terms of kerugian daripada tahun-tahun sebelumnya. Dan I think banyak kita punya capex ataupun projek-projek untuk menaik taraf SIC ini terpaksa ditunda.
Motorsports fans were left frustrated after the coronavirus put the brakes on the Super GT Malaysia Festival. Initially scheduled for 16th to 19th July at the SIC, the Super GT event had been detoured into a yet-to-be-confirmed date. It was also a no-go for one of the most exciting races in the motorcycle Grand Prix world calendar, the Malaysian MotoGP, as the track could not afford to risk the health of those involved in the GP, with the COVID-19 pandemic yet to subside. However, after a long wait, the local motorsports community are relieved by the government's decision in June to allow racing activities to resume under the strict SOP compliance. The young riders finally returned to compete for the SIC Mini GP rounds 3 and 4, which took place at the Sepang International Kart Circuit (SIKC) on 19th and 20th December. The championship was won by a 13-year-old from Terengganu, Muhammad Hakim Danish Ramli, who also qualified for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup 2021 Championship.
Kalau kita tengok dengan negara-negara lain di Eropah seperti Spain dan Italy, banyak pelapis-pelapis muda telah dilahirkan daripada mini GP yang telah dibangunkan oleh pihak tertentu di Eropah. Jadi dengan adanya SIC Mini GP ni, diharap ia dapat melahirkan lebih banyak pelapis, lebih banyak bakat-bakat muda.
And that concludes this evening's news at 10. In our top story, government to issue list of certified meat importers and brands. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon for more updates. I'm Renee Fong. Good night.